Yasar, let's start right here. From HelloFresh VP to global neurodiversity advocate, what was your aha moment when you realized that your career could have a greater human impact?
Firstly, Suleiman, thank you so much for having me on the show and also for that lovely introduction. To answer
Thank
your
you.
question,
Mhm.
the what was the call to action for me? I guess denying like who you are as a person can have an impact on your mental health. And I think last year and the year before, I'd struggled with mental health. I'd struggled with kind of accepting who I am and where I've come from and my background and some of the stuff that's happened in my life. And after maybe 6 or 7 months into that journey, I recognized that, I recognize man has two lives, right? And the second starts when he realizes he only has one. And I think that Confucius quote that I just shared summed up that moment for me, that aha moment. I was like, well, I can always say tomorrow, or I could just start helping today one step at a time. And that was the beginning of the journey for me for how I launched Win at Work.
That's amazing. That is amazing. For us, it gets these big moments. A lot of people, the COVID was the time, you know, but also like life events, for you, like like as you mentioned, it can be the trigger.
I think I think for most people, they are going through so much in their lives, and we sometimes forget that we're the main character in our stories. And if you rely on other people and you think about other people and you're constantly waiting for help, it's not going to really come. You kind of have to be relentless or even ruthless in your approach to focusing on yourself and what you need to do and what you want. And then through that, you can then begin to help others. And I think that was the moment for me. I want to do this, and then therefore I will start doing it. And through that, I will help others. That old classic, put your put your air mask on before someone else's when the plane's crashing. And so that was that moment for me. And I think you're right. It's difficult, but for me, it was just that moment.
Okay, thank you for sharing this. Your Instagram shows a playful side, but what are some unexpected things people will be surprised to learn about you beyond the boardroom?
I think so let me explain. So on Instagram, I have what, 200 and I think it's 208,000 followers or something. On
Right,
TikTok.
exactly, yes.
TikTok, it's like 110,000. And every day it's growing by 3,000. And the content I share is about navigating the workplace, but with unorthodox delivery. So it's punchy, it's obscene, it's sometimes rude, but the idea is that like you don't need to conform to the workplace. In fact, you need to play the game. And we live in a capitalist world. We live in a world where most companies are following this shareholder supremacy idea, where the shareholders are right. And so when the good times are good, they're great. Everybody's always focusing on the employees and yeah, we got to look after you and remote work and whatnot. And then suddenly when things are not so good, it's suddenly like, do what I need to do what I say, don't complain. And I think there is a part there that as human beings, we have to protect ourselves mentally. I wouldn't allow someone to speak to me if I was walking down the road compared to how some people let them speak to them at work. Right? There's this level of dignity.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why it resonates so much is because people forget or don't know what to say at work because they're so scared they're going to get in trouble.
Right.
And where I come in as a HR professional and I advise you, look, you can say these things and they can mean these things, but they won't get you in trouble. And obviously, that's only a portion of it. There is some other stuff that's just general advice, like how to better run a one-to-one, how to expect to
Right.
be promoted, how to navigate your career, not just upwards but sideways, and with your peers and your colleagues, etc.
Oh, awesome. The worry is real, because sometimes you worry about, okay, if I lose this job, what is my next one? And I have families to feed and stuff like that. So this is a big worry that makes people really take in all those abuse.
That, anx- that anxiety is a fallacy. Like the anxiety of I'm going to lose my job. Well, yeah, you could lose your job tomorrow. Look at Lehman Brothers in 2008. The entire company went upside down.
Mm-hmm.
You could lose your job because I don't know, you could be the next blockbuster and
Right.
Netflix comes along and, shuts you down. You could lose your job because your manager doesn't like you. You could lose your job because your colleagues don't like you. You could lose your job because your role's redundant. You could lose your job because they've shut down that office or that hub or that distribution center or
Right.
whatever. The point is, there's a million reasons why you could lose your job. But if you focus on the future and not today and now,
Right.
you're living in the future, right? And that kind of living in the future, what that does is 80% of the battles you're fighting haven't happened and don't exist. We worry about things that never happened, and then we get over those worries, and then eventually we calm down and we're like, if you zoom out, you're like, that never even happened. This was just a worry in my head. I was battling a worry, and that is insane to me. And so what I want to do is I want to empower people by giving them the toolkit to say, when this happens, do this.
Mm-hmm.
And the essence of it actually comes from Master Sun Tzu, his book, The Art of War. It's a 2,000-year-old book.
Right.
And it talks about a practical guide to war. If you've ever read it, or if anybody's listening's read it, they'll notice that it's quite short, it's not long. Without the commentary, it's very much just a practical guide of how you should approach war, what to do, what not to do. And that's it. I'm just providing the rules of work.
If we can switch a little bit to the career and leadership, you have led the talent in HelloFresh, Wipro, Zalando. Some of these companies, folks here in America might not know, but you're involved with Amazon and all those big companies. So what is the most unconventional lesson you have learned about building teams across continents?
The most unconventional lesson. I think unconventional is a tough one because so building multiple teams. I've got team members across the world, hundreds of team members. And when you manage a large team and you build a team, there are a couple of things you need to do. So let's think of it like pillars. So the first pillar is the team needs to understand the goal and needs to understand clearly what your version of the goal is, right? Because having a high-level company goal is not good enough when you're in a large global team. So Amazon wants to be the most customer-centric company in the world. But, at a team level, that could be very different. We want to hire, if you're in HR or recruitment, you'd want to hire the best talent so that your company can serve all its customers. There's always a subgroup. So the first is like being crystal clear and giving clarity on what good looks like and what bad looks like. If we achieve this, then it will be good. If we don't achieve this, it will be bad. If we achieve this, it will be terrible. If we achieve this, we will lose our jobs, right? So being crystal clear on expectations. The second is to be able to, for me personally, what I've done is I've always stayed close to the team no matter how big it gets. So I will speak to you and I do not care about hierarchy. So you could be 7 levels below me, or you could be 1 level below me, and I will treat you exactly the same. I will talk to you and ask you questions. So that is another one. As a leader, you need to be able to kind of go through the ranks and actually make it clear to your team. I don't care about hierarchy. If I've got a question, I'm not going through you as a manager. I'm going directly to your team. Unless it's sensitive, and in which case I'll come to you. And the third one I'd say is the third unconventional, because you said unconventional, that's making it a bit more trickier. So I'd say the unconventional one Okay, so what I think as a leader, one of the things I do, I'm not saying it's good, I'm not saying it's bad, it's something I do, and it helps me and it helps my team.
Right.
Every month I pick a topic and I deep dive into the ground level view.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter whose team it is, doesn't matter if they're performing, not performing. I will drill down so I get a really consistent view. And then I will do a one-to-one with everybody in that team to really understand what's going on in the team. And I'll do this regularly because what I uncover 80% of the time is not process problems, but people problems. As leaders, most of our problems are people problems. People not getting on with each other, people struggling to communicate, people unclear on the task. So there are a number of items there that I think unconventionally I do that, and it's not. Some people might find it a bit frustrating because I'm deep diving, but I think it works for me.
Amazing. No, that's your superpower right there. What is the one hiring rule that you used to follow and you've broken?
If I'm hiring a leader, typically what I'll look for is someone who's extremely competitive, naturally. I think that rule has slightly changed now because I've met less competitive leaders, but very articulate or intelligent leaders. But when you're hiring for your team, you want to find a trait that works well in the team. So, for example, if you're a banker and you're hiring other bankers, you wouldn't want to hire someone who's risk adverse where they don't take risks because bankers take risks.
Right.
So the traits are what I look for. And I think one of the fundamental rules that we kind of employ is that beyond the questions, you should try to understand the traits of the person. Do they have a deep desire to succeed? I'll give you a simple exercise, question and answer. If someone says to me, "Hey, if I ask someone, what's your target and what did you achieve?" and they say, "Hey, yes, well, actually, my target is X million sales or X million whatever,
Right.
and I achieved 105%." Cool, that's an okay answer. But a better answer is I achieved 105%, but my ambition was always to get to 125%, and I was nearly there.
Okay.
I had a few more deals to close by. What that shows you is ambition. And I think
Right.
having ambitious people is also a very clever thing. You can't think of it as like one size fits all. You almost have to think of it like a football team. Each person plays a different part, even in the characteristics and the traits they bring to the table. How is my last
It's
year, this year?
with OCD and dyslexia, we have this thing. We feel we're in disadvantage. So we kind of hide those differences. And we're
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
cope with the world. So how has that shaped your leadership style?
I think on the so I don't have phonetically I struggle. So when people are speaking to me, I always find it very difficult. If you were to spell your name, I would need you couldn't use SUL. You would have to say S for Sierra, U for umbrella.
Okay.
And
Okay.
but that really didn't affect me or hasn't affected me. The one that has affected me, which is my OCD, and I didn't get it diagnosed until a couple of years ago, but it was an odd one because I never knew I had OCD. All right. So I was the one who would open the window, shut the window, open the window, shut the window, open the window, shut the window. I'd do it 3 times. Open the door, close the door, open the door, close the door. Tuck in my chair, pull it out, tuck in my chair, pull it out.
Right.
And when I look, I have this obsession with solving problems. And that was really hard for me. So in my career, it served me amazingly well. But it had a massive impact on my mental health because a problem at work would then become a problem at home. I would then go home and I couldn't stop thinking about it. How do I,
Right.
especially when it came to like Google Sheets or Google Excel, if there was a
Right.
formula I couldn't go to sleep until I'd figure out a formula. And I remember clearly, like there'd be days where I'd be up until 2, 3 in the morning until the point where I was just exhausted and I would just have to stop.
Right.
Over the years now, I've now fast forward to today. It's my superpower.
Yeah.
I have figured out when to turn it on and when not to turn it on. So I have found to control my OCD, I've had to I've had to start microdosing on discipline.
Mm-hmm.
And so this concept is, I find I have daily topics I do.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, my prayers, I pray 5 times a day.
Right.
My Duolingo, I learn my
Mm-hmm.
language every day. My
There
gym.
you go.
So if I do those every day and I obsess over those, it kind of
Mm-hmm.
counteracts any other challenges I have. So if I
Mm-hmm.
focus on them as an obsessive person,
Mm-hmm.
then I have nothing in the tank to get obsessive over at work. That took me a lot of energy. When there is a real problem at work, I can then switch it up and say, okay, look, I need to focus on this.
Right.
But I think these days people know they have challenges and they're
Right.
learning to adapt and they're learning to work. And at the same time, well, you know yourself where you're
Mm-hmm.
based,
Mm-hmm.
countries and politicians are dictating rules at work and it's changing things. So it's a odd time, very
Right.
odd time in the world
Mm-hmm.
to work with the. One of my friends always says to me, try to make your life easy for yourself, not
Right.
harder.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as a parent, as a
Yes.
dad,
Mm-hmm.
you when I was in my 20s, I became a parent at 21.
Okay. Okay.
And my son now he's 15 and he's getting a bit older.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember in my 20s, we sometimes 20-year-olds are very unique because they're coming fresh into adulthood. And so there is this kind of black and white world.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is black or white, you're either good or bad.
Right.
And as you get into your 30s, you realize good people can do bad things, bad people can do good things.
Right.
And what you also realize is that the opinion of others doesn't matter. The
Mm-hmm.
opinion of yours matters more. And so you
Right.
stop caring as much about what other people think. And I think age in itself has some wisdom because people stop caring. One of the things I realized is that part of my OCD is this actual OCD, but part of my OCD is what I
Mm-hmm.
actually think of my OCD, what I
Mm-hmm.
perceive as, oh, I've got to do this, otherwise people might think I'm weird,
Mm.
right? I
Right.
can't really tell my kids I have OCD, otherwise they'll go to school and they might get bullied.
Mm-hmm.
And as you get a bit older, you realize, everybody's a bit weird. Everybody's a bit odd.
Right.
Everybody's got a bit of a history or a
Mm-hmm.
problem. We just don't know. And most people don't care because they're too busy in their own lives.
I love how you keep yourself busy with the other items so that you don't focus on that one thing, and that is definitely a cure for a lot of people. This is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
you have to have other things in life that keep you occupied more than just work. I think so. My approach to parenthood has been very much for the first 7 years, play with your kids.
right.
Let them be kids. Let them go
Mm-hmm.
crazy. Let them do whatever they want. Just don't expect anything from them. Don't expect them to listen. Don't expect them not to listen. You can teach them, but don't discipline them.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason why. In the
Mm-hmm.
second set of 7 years, so 7 to 14 years, befriend
Mm-hmm.
them,
Right.
become their close friends,
Mm-hmm.
make them fall in love with you, make them want to play with you, make them
Right.
want to befriend you. And then the third set of 7 years, from
Right.
14 to 21,
Right.
consult with them. Don't
Mm-hmm.
tell them what to do, but it become their advisor.
Mm-hmm.
Advise them on, well, you could do this, but this might be a better approach. I haven't
Mm-hmm.
thought about this, but I like the idea and the way you're thinking about it. You should be
Mm-hmm.
confident in the way you think, that kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff.
Right.
And this 3-step approach,
Mm-hmm.
I think, works really well. I've seen others do it in
Mm-hmm.
older generations do it, and it works really
Right.
well.
Mm-hmm.
I think the approach just requires a lot of patience.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when it comes to parents, we put so much pressure on our kids that they must learn, they must do this, they must do that.
Right.
I wasn't very good at school, but now I'm doing pretty well for myself. I have a roof
Mm-hmm.
over my head. I have
Right.
good job. I think good
Right.
job,
Mm-hmm.
and that didn't come from the education. That came from the resilience, the grit that my parents taught me. That they taught me to never give up, you always keep trying and always want more and always do better. And I think that was the one of the things that I am very thankful to my parents for. My parents always said, you can do more, or that, you could be like that. And that was quite exciting. And so I think more than just trying to teach your kids something is teaching them aspiration and kind of can do and will do and iterate and continuously learn. I think that's more important than actually teaching them specific stuff. Teaching them how to fish, that kind of approach. Like, you
Right.
can do it yourself.
Right. You got this, and that encouragement. That's beautiful. And those actually things are memorable. Those are the my dad passed away, and among the most memorable things are those moments where he had faith in me and being supportive.
Yeah.
So yes, sir.
A lot of the times we forget the main memories we create as children, or as children, not the main memories they create, typically to be in moments that are unfamiliar or new to them.
Hmm.
And so if you're not regularly getting this kind of encouragement, when it happens, you remember it, right? And it
Right.
means a lot. Now, the thing is, your dad and your parents or my parents are never really going to come every single day and give you words of wisdom.
Hmm.
But when it does come, you'll remember it.
Right.
And that's exactly it, right? It's in the same way I remember the words of wisdom that was given to me. But it wasn't shouted at.
Right.
It was told to me. Actually, maybe one or two times it was shouted at, but for the most part, it was told to me.
What's the funniest or most touching moment with the neurodiversity, and also intersecting with the fatherhood?
So I have, I have, we have a running joke in our family.
Hmm.
So a lot of the times, the family uses euphemisms. So
Hmm.
stuff like nip it in the bud, very
Right.
English terms or analogies.
Right.
And what tends to happen in our family is we get them completely wrong, get them upside down,
Right.
get them, and it's just fine. I find it hilarious. We find it hilarious. It's like one of those, oh, there you go, another one today.
Hmm.
Uh, when they say pot calling the kettle black, it'll be like
Hmm.
kettle calling the fridge black. And my
Hmm.
wife's like, what's going on? Why are you saying that's completely wrong?
Right.
Um, I find that hilarious, and I find it a moment of cherish, right? So you
Hmm.
could either
Right.
bully your partner or
Hmm.
your kids and say, "Oh, you're always getting that wrong," or you can find it funny
Hmm.
and embrace it. And we say, "Look, well, we're just not very good at this.
Hmm.
We're very, very bad, and we're going to have fun with this." And I know it's not my strong point, but that's what makes it my strong point. The fact that I know that it isn't, and it's
Hmm.
funny and it's unique and it's different. So I think there is some wisdom in that
Hmm.
knowing that the things that you're really bad at,
Hmm.
knowing the things you're really bad at can actually
Hmm.
become a strength if you just embrace it.
There you go. There you go. I think it's powerful. You're really empowering, my friend. This is, you know, it's definitely useful. And actually, for me, for instance, I can take those moments to kind of push you forward. Like, how sometimes, like whether it's family or friends or some people, kind of, how sometimes the people when they talk not negatively, but in a sense they push you to, like, oh, you don't know this or this and that. So that can you take that with, like, fine, embrace it, but also take it to, like, like
It-
almost prove a point.
yeah, I think. Look,
Mm.
you. I'm a big follower of Stoicism, so Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the things I've learned is that I do not care about other people's opinions.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I care about
Right.
my opinion
Mm-hmm.
first.
Right.
So if I do not have the time or energy to believe the person, I will tell
Mm-hmm.
them. So if my mother or my father, doesn't matter if I respect you or if I love you or you're my parents, I will say, yeah, thanks.
Hmm. There you go. There you go.
That's it.
That should feel
Nothing more, nothing less.
amazing. Amazing.
You
That should
don't
feel
need to say anything more, right? Like saying no to someone is a sentence in itself. If someone says, "Oh, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that," and you recognize it straight away, and you recognize it's not healthy and it's not good and it's not something you like,
hmm.
thanks.
Perfect. Amazing. Wow. Now, wow, this is amazing, my brother. Thank you. Thank you. I think enough said. So, if you had a magic wand, my friend, to change one misconception about neurodiversity in workplaces around the world, what would that one do? Like, what would you make sure that that is going to be changed going forward?
Can I answer it with a story?
Please.
So, this is a story I tell a lot, but I think
Hmm.
it's really apparent here and it will help explain my answer.
Right.
In India, there was an ashram, there's a
Hmm.
temple,
Okay.
and this priest, he would come out and he would light a fire every Sunday.
Hmm.
And he'd go around the fire and he would do his ritual, and the villagers would come and they'd watch, and while he's going around the fire, they'd join in. One Sunday, a cat came
Hmm.
and it stood right in front of him. He
Hmm.
kind of looked at it, picked up the cat, moved it to the side, walked around the fire. Cat came again, picked up the cat, moved it to the side. Cat came around. Next week, cat comes again, picks up the cat, moves it to the side. Next week, cat comes again. This time he gets so annoyed he ties the cat to the tree, goes around the fire. Next week, cat comes again. This time he says, I'm not going to start. Let the cat come. I'm going to
Hmm.
tie it to a tree. I'll go around the fire
Hmm.
and then I'll untie it and then carry on. So
Okay.
that happens. The next week it happens. Next week it happens. Next month it happens. Next year it happens. And the cat comes, he ties it to the tree, lights the fire, walks around the fire, does his ritual with the villagers, unties the cat and lets it go, and then finishes. One day the priest gets really old and he dies.
Hmm.
Next priest comes along, waits for the cat, ties the cat to the tree, walks around the fire, unties the cat, everybody goes home. One day the young priest comes, waits, and about to light the fire, and then he stops and he says, "Everybody go home." And the villager says, "Hey, why do we have to go home?" He goes, "There's no cat." So
Hmm.
what happened to the cat? The cat died.
Hmm.
Okay. And then he says to the villagers, "Because there's no cat, we can't do the ritual." And so the moral of the story is
Right.
we sometimes see something that's happened continuously and say that's the right way of doing it, but
Hmm.
without questioning the origins of where something comes. So
Right.
my answer to your question is, if I could wave a wand, I would
Mm.
take away everybody's perception of this is the right way of doing things and
Mm.
say, let's just try to make things work for us. Let's try something new. Let's not have a perception on the way things need to be. Let's question everything, especially in the workplace when you want to optimize. There's definitely evidence for certain things to be more optimal.
Right.
But I think when it comes to neurodivergence, we have this perception
Hmm.
and we need to change that. And so that would be the one thing, like just getting rid of that.
Okay. Okay. Wow. Amazing, boss. So, if you can, try to finish this sentence. So, society's biggest superpower we ignore is.
Kindness.
Mm.
We're
Okay.
nice, but not kind.
Wow.
Nice is telling you what you want to hear.
Hmm.
Being kind is telling you what you need to hear.
What is your boldest prediction? Let's say in the future for our kids.
I think My biggest prediction for the future is more homogenous roles. What that means is one person will do multiple roles because of the use of AI and other things. So where you might be a marketing manager in your current role, you might be a marketing manager, sales manager, and operations manager in one role because of the optimization with AI. I think that impact will have an impact on kids because instead of traditional education or becoming SMEs in one thing, like subject matter experts, they will need to know how to optimize for everything and how to look at the full picture. So, learning the entire process of whatever they want to master. If it's entrepreneurship, they can be solopreneurs. These days, you can be a solopreneur. You don't need a marketing team, don't need a finance team, depending on the size of your business. But for the most part, you can do a lot now with tools online that are not even AI enabled. So once they get superpowered with AI enablement and agentic AI, you might not even need to do half the work you're doing. So I think that's a part of it. I also think a part of it is that, we will find more excuses as human beings not to do things and not to learn and not to do hard things. And I think one of the best things you can do as a parent is teach your kids now to embrace really, really hard things, to find the reward in really hard things. I want to do hard things because it gets me excited. I like doing hard things because I feel a sense of achievement. If you can get your kids to want to do hard things, you'll set them up for the success because most things in the future will be easy. So when they got that one hard thing that comes their way, they'll be able to master it because they're looking for it.
Right.
Doesn't mean that they'll do things hard ways. They'll do things mostly in the easiest way, like anybody would. But to not make it so fearful.
Okay.
Right? Just by the way, I'm telling you this because just think back 50, 60, 70 years ago, they didn't have showers. Now, if I said to you, you have to go outside to go toilet, or go outside to have a shower, you'd be like, don't really want to do that. And it's cold outside, or it's freezing, or it's this. You do it eventually, but you don't want to do it. And I think in the same way, there are a lot of things that we consider easy or just we have to do. In the future, our kids won't. They'll just be like, well, I'm not doing that.
I think this is where traveling comes handy. For instance, if I take my kids to Africa, Morocco, Tanzania, and such, they get that experience, all those different things that people, do there. So when they come here, they say, "Oh, Baba, we have an easy life here."
Food is. I work for obviously a food company, and one of the scariest things I learned was that as a company, food company,
Right.
the human beings waste 900 million tons of food every year. 900 million tons. So imagine 900 million cars. That's how much. That's a mountain of food we waste.
Right.
And we as human beings are so wasteful. And so these are the things that I like to teach my kids early. To say, like, don't be gluttonous. Don't have wantonness, just constantly wanting more, 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 more.
Right.
Appreciate what you have. Appreciate the beauty in simplicity.
Right.
I think these are very important things.
That's a good reminder to really to teach our kids. A lot of times, like we keep reminding them gratitude, gratitude, guys. I know you mentioned in the first 7 years you let them play.
I think you can let them play, but if you give them stuff and they want more, that's on you. That's not on them.
Okay, please teach me more here. What happened? So I give, they ask, okay, I got them one of the toys, remote controlled and everything else. And went to the park, they saw some other kid with a bigger toy, and boom, they want that one.
Kids are very simple. I teach, my kid comes to me and says, Dad, I want, Baba, I want this toy
Right.
car. I say, okay, cool, no problem.
Right.
What kind of toy car is it? This. Oh, okay. Interesting. Why did you go for that one? Because I really like it. It's this, it's that.
Hmm.
Interesting.
Right.
Did you, by the way, did you see that kite outside, by the way? What are you talking
Hmm.
about? You see the next door neighbor, he made a kite. You can
Hmm.
make a kite? Yeah, you can make a kite. Have you never made a kite before? No.
Hmm.
I need to
Right.
show you how to make a kite. Why don't
Right.
we go to the shop and buy some tools and we'll try to make a kite? Oh, that'd
Right.
be amazing. I said, then you
That's
can
great.
color it wherever you want. Maybe we could put that car design on the kite and it'll look super cool.
Right.
And we'll do it together. So the point I'm trying to make is you have
Mhm.
to put the effort in.
Absolutely. I'm with you. And my wife is actually, I give credit to my wife on this. A lot of times, or whenever they start these tantrums, it's been so amazing to divert them, and it's a skill. Honestly, I love it, and I'm getting better at it. But the professional for this one is definitely my wife, because a lot of times it can even be not only with like with toys, it can be food, it can be a lot of things. So it's nice how we can not manipulate, but kind of show them other things that can be even more interesting.
I think as a parent, you need to be good at influencing, not manipulating.
Yes.
And as an individual, you need
Hmm.
to be excellent at influencing to be successful in your career. So I
Absolutely.
just see it as a practice ground. If I can't convince my son of something without forcing them or telling them no, how
Right.
am I going to convince an executive?
Tell me about it. Tell me about it. Sometimes I feel like like you almost lose your thinking hat when you're with your kids because you know.
My favorite one is though, because you were saying that, it just triggered me. And sorry to interrupt you, but
Please, please.
the sometimes parents get really funny about kids with their iPads. I wonder how many of those parents spend so much time on their phones. We spend so much time on our phones. I do as well. Don't get me wrong. Now, with
Hmm.
more social media followers, I spend more time than I'm supposed to. The kids learn from that. And so,
Right.
what do they expect? In fact, my son said something so funny to me the other day.
Hmm.
He said, my daughter he was scared,
Hmm.
and he said, "I want to sleep with you
Hmm.
in your bed." He's only 5, the youngest one. I said, "No,
Right.
you can't. You have to sleep in your bed." He said, "Why do I have to sleep in my bed?" He goes, "Can I sleep with Lara, my daughter?"
Hmm. Hmm.
I said, "No, she's a girl. She's got her own bed. She doesn't want. She's 7. She doesn't want to share a bed. But you share a bed with a wife." She goes, "You share a bed with your wife, so why can't I
Right.
share a bed with you or her?"
Hmm.
That's a good
Wow.
point. And then he said,
Right.
"I get lonely too. You
Hmm.
get why can't mama sleep with me?" I said, "Because I want her to sleep with me." He goes, "That's not fair. So
Hmm.
I have to sleep alone, but you have to sleep. You get to sleep with your wife. Where's my wife?" And it was so funny. And I sat there and I just thought, you know what? He's right. Like, it doesn't make sense, does it? We put them in
Right.
their room and they go to sleep
Hmm.
alone in the dark, and
Right.
then we go to
Right.
sleep with our partners.
Yes.
And I know some friends of mine who can't sleep without another person in the room or the light on or their partner next to them.
Right.
Right? They don't. They sometimes struggle if they go to a hotel and other things.
Mhm.
And yeah, I just thought it was funny. I think we need to hold our kids to the standard that we hold ourselves.
It's powerful how they understand a lot, and when they call us out, those moments makes us appreciate them more. And as one of my prior guests says, our kids already know what's going on. Like we should just continue to empower them and stuff, but they should be okay. We should not worry much
Exactly.
about their future. Like as long as we have these plans in place of enabling them and making them better, we should not worry much. I think this is beautiful.
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
Exactly.
We can go on, and I'll definitely would love to have you back again, my friend. Your story reminds us that real leadership is not about perfection. Is about just being present and embracing our uniqueness. So it's about showing up, owning our differences, and letting those differences guide us, not limit us. And to everyone listening, if this conversation moved you, please share it. Send it to a leader, a parent, or someone questioning if they are too different to make a difference. And Yasar, thank you, so much for your courage and your clarity and your heart. And we're truly honored to have you here at the Dad Puzzle community, my friend.
Pleasure being here. Thank you, Suleiman. I really appreciate the conversation, and I hope everybody enjoyed it. And as you said, please like, share. I don't know if you're on YouTube, subscribe as well. Definitely worth
Absolutely.
listening to the other episodes as well.
What are the best ways, people can find you?
You can find me on Instagram. My name's Yasar, Yasar Ahmad, Ahmad _ Same goes for Threads, TikTok, and YouTube. And then also I'm on LinkedIn as well if you want to connect or you've got any questions. I also have my website, yasarahmad.com. And most times people come to me for HR advice or executive coaching, which I provide a lot of executive coaching. So if anybody's interested, please let me know. Please reach out. More than happy to have a conversation.
Oh, amazing. Thanks so much, my friend. This is just another separate note. I love your approach. You have a unique approach, in terms of like tackling questions, looking at the bigger picture and breaking it down. I truly appreciate that. This is amazing.
It's a blessing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Until next time.